Yo, what's good, R&V family? I am your host, Tarius, and this is Rhythm and Views. And today we're gonna have a special show because y'all remember him before, Gage from Loading Snacks here on YouTube. So if you're not watching Load Snacks, what are you doing, man? You need to be watching it. They cover everything that is deemed geek. They talk about wrestling, they talk about video games, they talk about anime, they talking about everything that you can think of. Comic books. They talk to comic book artists. They go to all the cons and stuff like that. So if you're not watching Loading Snacks, man, what are you doing? You need to fix your life. Get on there and watch Loading Snacks. So yeah, man, let's bring on Cuz right there. Let's bring on Gage from Loading Snacks. Loading Snacks, Gage, what's happening with you, partner? What's good with you?
What up? What's
back
up,
again? Yeah, back again. Having a good time with it, man. How's your day been so far, man?
Everything's gravy, man. I'm just excited. I'm always ready to come here and talk music anytime.
Absolutely.
Anytime you want to do it, I'm down.
What I want you to do right now is I want you, for all those who don't know, who are watching my show, tell them a little about who you are and what you represent and what you do a little bit.
That's a lot. So,
I know.
You know what? Look, first and foremost, I'm a father. But I am a person who loves, as you can probably see from looking behind me, I love comic books, I love video games, I love gaming. I'm an avid music fan, lover, listener, all kinds of music, jazz, hip-hop, rock, country, R&B, you name it.
You listen to it, yep.
Yep, for sure. But I also am super busy doing stuff like Loading Snacks. So Loading Snacks is for us, it was a group of us that got together and decided we wanted to talk about the things that we love. So again, everything that we deem deep, like I heard you say earlier, we cover it. So lots of MCU stuff, lots of anime stuff, wrestling stuff. We cover it, and it's easy to find. If you just do a search on Google for @Loading Snacks, you'll find us. Who I am is a little bit of a jack of all trades. Jack of all trades, master of none. A little something about a lot of different things.
I do that too. Yep, that's me. That is me.
That's who I am, man. I love tech. I love technology. I love new fangled devices, like some of everything, man. And I love putting words together and talking to people. And so,
absolutely,
like I said, branching out and doing good conversation and shenanigans now, which is a podcast where I just bring 3 or 4 people on. Everybody brings a topic to the table. No topic is off limits. And I don't know what the topics are until we start the show. Nobody does.
That's kind of dope there. Yeah. It makes it kind of like impromptu. It's like you can't really mentally prepare for it. So it's kind of like you got to go off the cuff. Like, okay, we talking about red cars today. Go.
Yeah. Hey, look, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I think that's that's the crux of what it is that in this kind of space. For me, I like having just a conversation with people. So, most of the time when a conversation starts, you don't know what that conversation is going to be or where it's going to take you.
True.
Sometimes you're forming opinions as it's going. You're learning about the subject or something like that as it's going. So even if somebody brings something to the table that I'm not familiar with, I'm just going to ask questions. Well, who is that? What did he do? How does it work? What do you know about it? What can you share with me? Formulating an opinion, and we're having a good conversation. And a lot of times, especially when you don't know something or whatever, again, there's some shenanigans for sure. People come on the show, they bring a little something to drink or whatever it is. It's really just, it's really just
that's a party
that I like and respect. You know what I mean? Having conversation as friends, introducing people to each other who I know don't know each other quite yet, and giving them the opportunity to just kind of, to talk about some stuff, man. So that's what it's about.
I like that. So if y'all are watching right now, watching me, watch him. Make sure you check out for that new podcast. And what was the name of it again?
Good conversation and shenanigans.
Absolutely. Y'all make sure y'all definitely check that out, man, because he's got some good conversation. I actually checked it out for a little bit myself just recently. So it runs a little long, so it's that podcast format. So if you're doing the dishes, or if you out doing your job or whatever the case may be, you are working on your car, put him on. Check him out. He's got a lot of good combo on there. So
sure y'all be yelling at us.
That's even better. Better. So let's get into the topic for today, which we want to talk about something that's very near and dear to both our hearts, because we've done it, still doing it to some degree. Well, I am. I don't know if you're necessarily doing the artist thing, music artist thing, but Let's talk about what it's like to be an independent artist, man, because a lot of people just don't know what it takes to be an independent artist, man. So give us a little bit of history about what you've done and like some of the trials and tribulations of that. We're gonna dig deep.
Man, so I've always, again, like I said, I've always been into music, played in the band, sung in the choir, all that kind of stuff, and eventually just hip hop just got a hold of my heart, and so I started rapping, started a rap group. It wasn't really something that was serious in the beginning.
Okay, you remember the name of the group?
Oh yeah, it's all the same. So the original group was called Equilibrium.
Okay.
And then from that it kind of grew into what we call E Nation.
E Nation, right?
So my brother Spade got involved, started making beats.
Killer on the beats. Killer on the beats.
Yeah. So shout out to Spade.
Shout out to Spade. What up, cuz?
Yeah, and it just kind of grew, man. Like more and more people started to get involved, and then we kind of was able to, I don't want to say weed out the people who were less serious about it, but to an extent, like, because the people who really loved it and wanted to work showed up, like every week, and
that's how it goes.
It became a thing. It was like, all right, well, let's really do this. We started making songs, and then it was like, oh, we're actually making songs, so we should try to go perform, and and we would do that. We did the talent shows and oh man, talent showcases, and then you get management, and we were with a small label called New Life, for a number of years, which was helmed by a gentleman by the name of Diamond Williams, rest in peace.
Oh, I passed. Okay.
Yeah, learned a lot from that. It didn't work out the way we wanted to, but learned a lot. Met a lot of people. Still friends with a lot of great artists, great people who I met in that time frame. And just really started to dig in. Then we met some other management. Shout out my man Dwayne Price, Steve Dent, who at the time was running Daddy's House Recording Studios.
Oh wow, okay.
And really started to push the idea of like what it takes to take it to the next level. Outside of independent, outside of recording all your own stuff. At the time, having to record it and put it on discs and put it all
I remember that. I remember that.
Put it all out, like really, like independent artistry now. Is a cakewalk.
In comparison, yes, absolutely.
And putting up, saving up the money to get equipment, to have your own CD burner, to have your,
oh wow, I remember all that.
Crazy, so we, really pushed it, did a lot, man, and had some industry heads chasing us and trying to make some things happen, and it's hard, bro. People are like, the average person, y'all have no idea how hard it is to try to break into this industry. A lot of people think it's so easy. Oh, you're so talented, you should be out there. I think I should be out there too, but it ain't that easy, you know what I mean? Right. So I want to touch, because we're going to bounce off a lot of different things, because I know, obviously, about a lot of your history. I want people to know about a lot of your history. So we're going to kind of dibble and dabble in certain, time periods and, with throughout you doing music. With one of the things that's interesting to me that I remember, you have to correct me on this, is my partner that used to be on the show, D'Amour. He's done some work with Genuine in the past. Yeah. You guys have run across Genuine, if I'm not mistaken, in the past. Tell me a little bit about that. I personally didn't really deal direct. So there was a brief moment where I was doing a little bit of writing, not specifically for him, but for his wife, for Soleil.
Oh wow, okay.
She was working on, gonna put out a new product, or something along those lines, and so did a little writing. Mostly that was my brother was dealing with them, because he was working more from a production standpoint, which is not something I ever really got into. Right. I always wanted to, but I didn't feel like I had the time to get into production and stuff like that. So there were a couple of beats here and there that I did, but it was a very like a light dabble, bro. Like a very light dabble. But it just so happened that the gentleman I was talking about, Dwayne Price and his brother, Devon Price, Nucci, he's from the area, where I live. And good dude. I just didn't have a whole lot of personal direct, insight into that. That was something that was more what Spade was doing along with them. but I
Right.
gained a lot of insight from it.
Right.
And, you know, guys like him, like Tank,
Wow.
from this area, who called Moet, that they were.
I think I remember them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a lot, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the X-Men. Okay, so you said that was mostly your brother that was doing that.
Yeah.
And so as far as like the production, okay, so like you said you had a group, so there was a whole E Nation. What was that situation like? With like, how did you write the songs? How did you get together and like record and stuff like that?
Man, look. So, you know, it started out as a thing that I was doing. I was joined by a friend of mine, Eddie, who went by Gusto. You can actually find some stuff that he does now.
Okay.
Basically, what he does now is mostly like Christian rap stuff.
Oh, okay.
He went by Eddie Gusto. He and I formed Equilibrium. Started doing stuff together. My brother and Sin, who does Loading Snacks with me, his younger brother, and Spade were the same age.
Right.
They got together and they started, you know, putting lines together, and they had formed their own group. They had a little something going together called Committee 2G.
Okay.
A bunch of other young guys that kind of came in and jumped in, and it was kind of like, it just made sense. We were all doing stuff together.
Yeah.
So we formed this E Nation, this Equilibrium Nation, where everything kind of fell under that one. And we chose that because Equilibrium was like, the idea behind Equilibrium was balance.
Right.
And, you know, Eddie and I were very different, but we balanced each other out. And the idea of E Nation was that all of us kind of formed these pieces, these links in a chain that balanced each other out. You know what I mean? Everybody filled in somebody else's weaknesses and vice versa. And so like when it came to like putting tracks together or something like that, like V would have a beat.
Yeah.
And people would hear it and they would just start writing. You know, you would hear something,
right?
Start writing, and eventually, for a long time, man, you know, just rappers being rap guys.
Yeah.
It wasn't about like making songs. It was just about everybody putting a verse together. Like, get your 16, get your 8, get your whatever. Right. Put your bars together and let's go. And that's what it was about for a long time for us, was, you know, that. But then that turned into like, we need a hook. We need, you know, actual songs. And the way we would record, man, we'd get together like 2 or 3 times a week. Every Friday we got together.
Dope. Okay.
Friday night session.
Okay.
And, you know, sometimes it was just us rapping over whatever instrumental we get our hands on. And once we started having our own, got access to like an Akai S20, and then eventually an MPC 2000 and that kind of stuff. Yep. Really putting like beats together and starting to really dig into like our parents' crates of like albums, bro.
Old school albums, right?
Man, look, we got some big. We had a guy that was a part of the group who was doing some producing, and he was working at like Costco. We got these 2 big giant carrot blocks. Okay. We brought them in and we cut them up, put one on top of the other upside down, duct taped it, put a hole in the joint, put a piece of plastic in the front of the joint. Yeah. You can see out of it. Dropped the fan inside of the joint, threw a giant blanket on the back of it, made a booth. Right. Put a hole in the front of the joint, wrapped it, put a microphone in the joint, and like, before you know it, crazy. Like we was operating like we had a real joint. Yeah,
like an actual label or something. Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. That's tell you what, it's crazy, man, because it's like, you know, when you don't have like the big budget behind, you don't have all the funds and all that kind of stuff. It's amazing what you can do when you get creative. You know, you're like, all right, well, I ain't got no booth, but I can tape some boxes together and I can, you know, tape some stuff, put the hole in it. Yeah, that's dope, man. So you was telling me about how y'all got to be with Daddy Studios and that was in New York, I think. And I remember one time, man, the memory is real vague, but I remember going with y'all. I think you were there to the studio. We didn't do too much. I think we kind of walked around or something like that, and that was pretty much it. I think y'all was kind of showing me around and stuff. You remember that at all?
That I wasn't there. That was fake.
Yeah.
Again, that was one of those things. Like, again, Dwayne and LeVon Price, they knew a lot of people, and they introduced us to Steve, who again was working at Daddy's house at the time, and Steve also was from this area.
Okay.
And so
that's Steve Stout.
No. Steve Dent.
Different. Okay.
Yeah, Steve Dent. And yeah, so we were able to kind of, we were fortunate enough to be able to walk into some circles that we probably otherwise wouldn't have been able to even elbow our way into.
Yeah, yeah. That's impressive. Some of the people y'all worked with.
We worked with a lot of folks for a long time, man. We did stuff in this area. We worked with this cat. Oh, we knew a guy named Jay Pooh who was doing management work and stuff like that for some of the bands in this area. So in this area where I live in the DMV, go-go was a huge thing.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Always has been, always will be.
Will be.
You know, we were doing like small, like tour stuff with like backyard bands. Going to them and either opening or playing for them, like when they would take their breaks.
Right.
Going to like Charlottesville and doing stuff at like Aunt Sarah's or you know, we did a show at the with them opening for Freeway at the Baltimore Tunnel. You know, just like really that's just dope. Grinding, man, trying to get our name out there and our hands in anything. And you know, look, as independent artists, everybody has the best idea for what it will take to take what you have and push it to the next level. Right. When you have as many people as we did, you know, people considered us like the DMV Wu-Tang. Like it was.
You could say that. You could definitely say that. Yep.
You know, it was at one point probably like 13 or something of us in and out. Like we had people that were like regulars, but weren't necessarily part of the like we considered them E Nation family, but they weren't necessarily members of the group. But like when you have that many people, you're gonna have people that shine. You're gonna have people that feel like they get on every record. Where you have people who are like, "Oh, I'm not getting enough," or those kinds of things always exist. That's very real. You know, when you have people that are industry people or who want to be industry people who are like working to kind of break in or trying to do something, everybody has a different opinion on what's the best way to do it. Let's take this person. Let's have everybody record solo joints. Let's shop those, try to push that out and use that person to get everybody else on. Or let's take the group and push that and then we'll use that. And then we'll let the audience, the listening audience, decide who they really like. And whoever seems to be getting the most buzz, we'll take them and we'll do their solo joint next. Or, you know, you can only do it if you're doing shows. Shows is the only way to make it happen. Nah, y'all really need to be focused on radio play. Y'all should be putting joints together that you know will work well on the radio. Nah, the club is really popping right now. You gotta have a joint you can bump in the club in order to get on. Nah, but if you really want to do that, you gotta know this DJ. You gotta put something extra in the DJ hand to make the DJ spin it so they can do.
There's so much stuff, man.
It was a very, very different world, bro. And I think a lot of times when you have everybody wants to do right by you in some way, but everybody has their own opinion of what's the thing that's going to work. Right. And you feel, and then you're when you have that happening, you're gonna have people within the group, and you have that many people who are going, well, I think yes, we should do it that way. Well, no, I think we should do it this way. Well, no, let's try this. And in some cases, you try some of all of it. You know what I'm saying? True.
Yeah, because I know, like in my group, shout out to 120. It's difficult sometimes when you have, you know, so many different and I can only imagine what your situation was like, because you had many individuals, but it was only 3 of us, you know, and we didn't always agree on different things. And like you said, everybody always thinks that they have the best way to get on. You know, and so you just trying, a lot of times just trying everything, you know, just kind of like seeing what sticks. We would go everywhere, man, and just perform at so many shows. I remember we did so many shows, man, so many shows. And a lot of this stuff was, I mean, it was really cool. Like, you know, we were trying to like basically build a resume, you know, because we opened up for artists like, you know, like John B, Donnell Jones, Case. I know I'm probably forgetting a whole bunch right now, but we did so much. So like when it comes to like, you know, like I said, you had so many individuals. How did you find balance when you had so many different people who wanted to, you know, do this and do that? How'd you find balance? That equilibrium.
To be honest with you, man, I don't think you ever really do. I think you don't really find balance. I think what you do is as you get older, you know, back then, man, this was, you know, 15 years or more ago. So I think as people are coming of age, they begin to realize what the reality of music is. You know, we were really studying, buying books and studying music business and trying to learn and understand contracts and trying to learn and understand, right, like what publishing is and what it means to have ownership versus not, and how it's divided up, amongst the number of people that are on a track, and how can you get paid, and all of those things begin to come into play. And when you start and you're just like, I just want to make music. There were people who just wanted to keep making music. Like, let's just make more music. Let's make more music.
Right.
While I think there were other people who considered themselves taking it more seriously because they were more interested in the business aspects of it and what it took, in order to do some of that. And I think trying to find a happy medium is being able to recognize who's good at what parts of what.
Right? Yeah.
And
exactly.
And where you might need to fall back from in order to do it. So, like, if your whole thing is like, I just want to make more music, I just want to get in the studio and record, so get me beats and let me go. Right. If that's what you're good at, then do that. You know what I mean? And that means you do have to be able to / willing to let go of letting somebody else say, all right, well, this is how we're going to take what you're making and put it in front of people or whatever. And I mean, we try some of everything, bro. Like, we knew people who were doing college radio. We would go out. Here's all the college radio stations in the country that play hip hop. Here's all of them, right? Let's send joints out to everybody. You know what I mean? Let's try to get the college radio joint bumping. So when they go out on a Thursday night, when it's college night in their city, and they can get into the clubs that they normally wouldn't have no business getting into. Right. This is how we'll have them in there asking, like, where's your E Nation? Where's your so and so? Where's your such and such? Like, I mean, I feel like we tried everything. Yeah. And in the long and short of it, bro, I think what happens more than anything is life happens, right? Like, people start growing up and having kids and having bills and needing to focus on other parts of it that draw you away from a thing that you enjoyed and that you love, and you begin to realize that, like, if you don't turn what it is that you're doing into something that is lucrative, like right now, it's not gonna happen. And then I think you have to really look at the industry and go, you know what? There are people who are probably not on most people's radar, but I know this is all they do. All they do is make music, and they tour. And they tour and they tour, and people come see them, and they're making a living doing it, like they're surviving on it. But I think when you're young and you're really looking at the industry, you're always looking at the people who are at the very top, and you're gunning for the very top, and you're not. A lot of times, you don't give yourself enough space to be willing to accept the idea of being able to do what you love doing at the highest level you can do it. Right. Even if it means you don't ever break. You might not ever crack the top 10. Right. But that doesn't mean you're not successful or you don't have it. Sometimes I just think, for us, I think a lot of us were too young to see it. Yeah. At the time that was an option, a possibility. So if anybody does anything now, most of the time it's just the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you miss it at all?
Absolutely. Every day. Every day, like, I think about it a lot, man. Like, I go back, I listen to old stuff. The other thing is that people hit me all the time. And they're like, yo, because I tend to have, somehow I think I managed to get the majority of all the recordings. Like, I have.
You were on a lot. You definitely were on a lot.
It wasn't even about what I was on. I just, I just had it. You know what I mean?
Oh, kept it. Okay.
I had it on hard drives, or I had it on, like.
Me too.
We was recording stuff to mini discs. You know what I'm saying? And, like.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, like, I have mini discs. I got books and mini discs, and a lot of it has stuff I haven't heard in decades. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Yeah.
And so, like, people hit me, man. Like, I as a matter of fact, I had Tui from the Tones. He used to be called the Hamilton. He's actually been on Loading Snacks, and he was just on an episode of Good Conversation.
Wait, they changed the name? Because I think when that recent episode they were Hamiltons, they just changed the name?
It changed. So the name, like, if you go on their Instagram, they're still known as the Hamiltons, but they actually changed the name to, they're just called the Tones now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, Tui was on Good Conversation Shenanigans. We talked, the other day, and he said on there, man, honestly, man, if it wasn't for y'all, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing in music. Like, I don't know.
Wow.
You know, y'all put me on first. Y'all were the first people to put me in a booth. There's actually a lot of people like that. It's really strange, and people have been asking for us to do like a documentary.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I think I told you about that. I'm making one because I think it's, see, the reason why I'm so glad you said that too, because I think like for me, my personal reason for doing that is once I started, well, you know, I was inspired. Let me start by saying that I was inspired because I watched there was this Spanish, I listen to a lot of Spanish music. I don't know why, I just like the way it sounds, whatever. I don't understand a damn word they say, and I just like listening to it. So there's this artist named I think it's Romeo Santos. I think it's Romeo. Anyway, if I'm messing up, I put it on the screen. But anyway, anyway, so he's I watched his documentary and I was kind of interested, like, wow, okay, so this is the journey. And then being an artist myself, being able to really relate to the struggle of what it takes to be an artist, to grind and all that. Now, this guy, he got to the level of like almost like a Spanish Michael Jackson, but just the journey of it, and you know, that story, you know, that story of, you know, what you guys went through, the hustle, the grind, you know, having to be ripping and running here and there and all that kind of stuff. So that was one, and then the Janet documentary came out just recently. I watched that one, and I was like, yeah, I want to do something like that. Yeah. And you know, I don't have no big name or nothing like that, like, you know, like the whole nation would understand or anything like that, but it's not really for that. It's really kind of like for me, and it's also to any artists out there, independent artists that might be able to relate to that story, you know, of the grind and stuff like that. So and I do video, so you know, so it was kind of like a win-win-win for me, you know. So that's what I'm putting together right now. I shot like all the scenes and stuff. I just got to put it together and edit it and all that kind of stuff. But I'm interested. So as you can see, I'm excited. So tell me about what's yours. Are you actually going to do this, or are you just considering it, or what are you doing?
I mean, I guess so, bro.
You got to do it, man. I'm holding you to it. Everybody who's watching the show right now, we holding him to it. You doing it. I don't care. You doing it now.
It's funny, man. People are asking, and then, you know, people hit me and they're like, yo, I need some of that old, like they want to hear it. Yeah. And I'd be like, man, I got stuff y'all never heard. And they be like, for real? I'm like, yeah, I got stuff y'all never, you know what I mean? And never got put out or never made it, you know, stuff that didn't make album, you know, make a cut, you know what I'm saying? Something like that. Cause again, we was recording every week. Like we would just record and record and record and record. Right. And kind of pick what we felt like was the best, or what, you know, seemed like it just fit, or, you know, whatever. Yeah. Will I do a documentary? I think so. I think so, because because people seem to want it right now, and I think that there's a need to strike while the iron is hot. I think that there's an untold story in there that is not just good for people who know who we are, but for anybody who's just like we're talking now, that's interested in really knowing about the struggle of doing it independently. Like for us, it's funny because I felt like a lot of labels, we got to the point where we stopped shopping for record deals and started shopping for label deals, because truthfully, we were a label. You know, we had multiple artists. We had all in-house production. We were recording and engineering everything ourselves, doing most of the mixing / mastering ourselves. Like we could send some stuff out to get it EQ'd a bit better, but we were more or less self-sufficient, with the exception of maybe needing like solid marketing budget. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That kind of that's the big struggle.
And when you do that for so long, a lot of what you're doing, you want to keep control of. And so when you shop yourself to somebody else, and they're looking at what you do, and they're telling you, we love it. We love what you do. The thing that makes them, even if they felt like they could make a ton of money in it, if they don't have the kind of control they want, or if they can't take the percentage of it that they want to take, they won't bite. You know what I mean? Like they won't do it. And it seemed going in like it would be a great thing and like an easy thing for us from a business standpoint of being able to walk up to somebody and say, listen, y'all don't have to do anything. All you got to do is provide us the money for the marketing, and we'll take care of everything else. You would think that's a no-brainer, especially when they love what they're hearing. But not understanding that side of the business, and really understanding how A&Rs get paid, and really understanding, you know, like what it means for them to do something like that, is like, there's also a very specific. There are rules.
Mm-hmm.
There are rules to the way that music works.
Right.
That as an independent, you won't know / understand until somebody puts it in front of you. And
exactly.
So it's like, yeah, what you're saying is a good idea and it makes a lot of sense, but that's not the way it works. Like they just tell you, like, we would love to, but that's not the way it works. You can't do that. But why not?
Right.
It's a good idea. So why don't we just be the first to do it? Yeah, but I'd be breaking all these unwritten rules.
Yeah, right.
I mean? And so it's like
they don't want to take that chance.
It's
a risk.
Deal. Like, yeah, you just so a lot of realistically, a lot of the reasons why we didn't get those kinds of things didn't happen is because people liked what they heard enough to support it, but not enough to break unwritten protocol to make things happen.
Yeah.
And when you have a lot of people, which we did, that becomes very expensive.
Right. Right.
And so it just, as an independent artist, now, look, man, if you got a $300 or $400 computer,
right,
you can get some free software and you can make some things happen.
Absolutely.
You can just put it out. It'll be on Bandcamp. It'll be on Spotify. It'll be on, like, we back like MP3.com was barely a thing. We had #1 joints on MP3.com that ran for like weeks. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like,
yeah.
We were uploading music to like MySpace because it was one.
Some of y'all don't even know who MySpace is. Some of the people out there watching don't even know what that is.
Exactly.
It was a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like. What's up?
Yeah, I was gonna say. Let me ask you a question though. So, so you talked about all the different things right there. So ultimately, you think that because you just talked about why it probably didn't work is because of some of these situations that you got into, they weren't willing to take the risk. Because as you and I know, when it comes from the record exec standpoint and stuff like that, they want to be able to bank on something. So if you a lot of times, if you're not coming to the table and you already got a strong following or you already got this going for you, don't got that going for you, sometimes they don't want to take the chance. Sometimes they do on a real occasion, but sometimes they don't because they want to better bank on something. Like nowadays, like for instance, like if you have like a strong YouTube following, if you have a strong Instagram following or something like that, sometimes it makes it a lot easier for situations to happen. But today it's totally different anyway because it's a totally different playing field. You and I talked about that before. What do you feel the difference is being an independent artist doing it today rather than when we were doing it?
The truth of it is that if you held a gun to my head
oh jeez
and told me to tell you the truth,
I
would tell you that in my humble opinion,
right,
a lot of what you see as like independent YouTube success stories are all fake.
I'm right there with you though. I'm right there with you.
Somebody at a label or in management somewhere really pushes and puts a honest to goodness marketing push behind some of these artists. These very clean cut, perfect, you know what I'm saying? Kind of average, everyday American.
Yeah.
Here's a success story for y'all to just grab onto and hold and love it, right? That's not to say that it doesn't happen. A lot of hip hop is different from that. When it comes to pop, I think honestly, like 90% of that is manufactured.
I agree with you.
So I still think they have their own struggles to deal with. I think the biggest difference now is that the truth of the matter is you actually do have the ability as an independent artist now, even if your music is garbage, for people internationally to hear what you have.
Right.
The internet is your best friend. You can upload something tonight and tomorrow it's viral because it's not just on YouTube, it's on Twitter, it's on, you know what I mean? It's everywhere. And so the biggest difference now is that you can realistically find an audience that doesn't exist in your hometown. in order for you to blow up, to elevate in some way. Where when we were doing it, if you didn't have the money to travel, so you could tour, like y'all were talking about going to open for people or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Or you didn't have your own city / neighborhoods or whatever on lock. You can forget it.
Right.
You can pretty much forget it. There's also a lot of bias, especially in hip hop, about where people are from.
Okay.
I would say it's slightly less prevalent now.
Okay.
So then, like for somebody to hear that you a rapper from Maryland, it was execs that would just be like, I'm talking about like it was execs that would like be listening to it, head bobbing, like loving it, and be like, dang, where y'all from? Maryland. What? Eject. Take me right now. Can't do nothing with you. And just like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah, wow.
If the internet worked then the way it worked now, it would have been easy for us to take all that work we were doing and just put it up and be like, here it is, y'all. The world can have it. I'm allowed to put it on Spotify as long as I have the rights to the music. You know what I mean? And handle it the right way. You know.
Do you think you would have gotten farther? Like if you were doing it right now, the same way it was back then, but with the technology of today, do you think y'all might have made it or gotten through?
Maybe. I think that we were really doing it in a transitional period.
Okay.
Where music itself was changing. Not specifically as much into the internet piece of it, but like, you know, we came from an era of samples and sampling. And so when you do that, that's one of the biggest things. That was one of the biggest things against us was like, man, y'all got a lot of samples. So like, even if we could do crazy money with this, like it's going to cost us something crazy to clear these samples.
True.
You have ownership and,
you
know, all that kind of stuff, right? And so that.
Oh, man. Yeah.
They killing you right now with all the copyrights and stuff. You on YouTube and stuff. Even with my show, they killing you with that. So yeah, I feel you. Yeah.
And so realistically, we did swing away from that and get into doing stuff that didn't have samples.
Right.
The lyrics were just as good. The feeling wasn't exactly the same, right? Because again, we came from a different era, right? And it got to a point where like if you didn't have a certain amount of cachet, you're just not getting something clear. Like it's just not happening. If you can, they're gonna charge you so much to use the sample or to get it clear that it ends up becoming not worth it. And so
hey, cuz, not to cut you off, but I wanted to bring this point up there. Have you heard, and I don't have any details or anything, but I know I heard somewhere that there's a website now where there's already cleared samples or something. Have you heard about this? It's like a website or something. There's already cleared samples. So if you're an artist now, you want to use this, whatever it's on there, you can do it. It was something like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, I learned about that like yesterday.
Oh, really?
And I can't think of the name of it right now. But I was looking into it because I saw it and it was like, so here's the way that specifically works is, yes, they have all these samples that are in there that are technically already cleared, which basically just means that the people who have ownership over those things are like, yes, if people want to use this, they can use it. You can go and you can make it. But then once you use it to make something, if you want to use it elsewhere, then you pay a fee. Like you pay a small fee to take all the pieces or the sampling or whatever that you have and use it. I mean, look, the landscape has changed as far as that's concerned because I think people are more familiar with a lot of the rules, you know, like the 15-second rule. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you post something, but if you use more than 15 seconds of it, copyright is going to hit you. If you're using under that, then you're relatively safe. Those kinds of things that many more people are aware of now. Do I think we would have had more success if we were doing it now?
Yeah.
Probably. I think we probably would have had more success, though I think that the landscape itself is more competitive because so many people have access to it.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, everybody can get on a computer, like you said. Anybody with a computer and a microphone can upload a song right now if you want to. Yeah,
right. It's just, and they made it easy, right? Because if you have a Gmail account, which is free, you have a YouTube channel. That's how it works, right? So, so anybody who wants to do something, even if they just like, look, you can take the copyright hit and just rap over other people's stuff or sing other people's songs through cover. Like it's bands that make they living just doing covers. Like we're a cover band. That's what we do. right? So it's doable. It's just a matter of how it's all in the approach.
True.
If you had to do it over, and you had access to what you have now, you had that then, do you think it would be different for you?
That's a good question. That's an excellent question, because I think it wasn't like really what we had access to, but I think it was more or less we got in each other's way, to be honest with you, because like we talked about, there was those different opinions on how we should do different things, and I think we should be here, or well, I think I'm already there, or what I mean. I think that was probably the major thing, is just the clash of personalities and stuff, to be honest with you. Not that the other stuff didn't exist, of course, what I mean, as far as like marketing and promotion, like you need that. Like if you don't have that, then you're just kind of like dead in the water.
Right.
Whereas, today, I definitely think that we probably, if we were doing it right now, with the technology and everything that's out there now, I think we probably would have gotten a lot farther. But like I said, I think for us personally in our situation, that I think it was probably the personalities that I think, kind of did us over, in the end, kind of like, kind of brought it screeching into the whole thing. But yeah, man. Yeah. So we're going to get ready to wrap this up, but we might have to pick this one up, because there's so much, because this one, I think even more so than the state of R&B, is that this is one that really touches you and I, because we've done it. Like we've been there, you know what I'm saying? So, but what kind of advice would you give to artists who is doing it now, who is recording now, is trying to figure out how to make their way?
Man, listen, the most basic things are the most important. You have a Twitter, you have an Instagram, you have a Facebook, you have a separate website.
Right.
Like now, being able to reach as many people as possible, via whatever format they want to be on, is, I think, the biggest key to success. Right. So not everybody has a Twitter. And a lot of people now are just like, I must want Twitter, I don't even want a Twitter, or whatever, right? So like, but people are on Instagram, and people who are on Instagram don't know that Facebook owns it. So it's people who are like, I hate Facebook, I don't want to be on Facebook, but they on Instagram. So like, I think that the key really is your ability to market yourself. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter what kind of music it is or whatever. It is how you allow yourself to be seen by the most eyes at any one given time. Absolutely. My advice is have a link tree or a Beacons account, so that you can have one link to share with people that has access to everything you do, from your website to your separate music to your Twitter, your Facebook, your Instagram. All of that should be available to people. And you have to make it as easy as possible for people to follow you and like.
Yes, because people with their attention spans, they don't want to do the work, and they want one click. Can I just go there one click? Okay, cool.
It doesn't. To be honest with you, I don't really care if you're talented or not. There's plenty of people who ain't talented that make it.
Yes, that's a fact.
Like
that's a fact.
Make yourself accessible. That's really what it comes down to. You never know what exec is looking for somebody that just happens to have your look. You know what I mean? Or just happens to come from the city you're in. Like the things that make people shop is crazy. So like, can that exec find everything they want from you in one click?
Right, exactly.
Make it as easy as possible. Put a little EPK together, throw it up there and fun.
Absolutely. All right, cuz, so tell everybody, this was a pleasure. That I just want to say that first and foremost, it was a pleasure having you on here. I love the different things you have to say, your viewpoints, your opinions. But tell people how to find you, give people all your information. Go.
Yeah. Look, the easiest thing, you can see it right there in the name, @EmptyShells with a Z. That's my Twitter, my Instagram. Outside of that, if you look up either Good Conversation or Shenanigans or Loading Snacks, you'll find me. You know what I'm saying? You'll find me. I want to tell you I appreciate you for inviting me back onto the show.
Absolutely.
Doing it again, man.
Oh yeah, no doubt. We're definitely gonna do it again. And yeah, man. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and put you backstage, cuz I thank you, I salute you, and appreciate you coming on the show, brother.
No doubt.
All right, so that is, like I said, this is Rhythm and Views. This was the conversation. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep doing this, man, over and over again. Whether it be Gage, we had some other interesting guests to come on, but it's all fun, man. It's all for y'all, and we're gonna have these great conversations. We're gonna continue going. Make sure you check out Loading Snacks. Make sure you check out Good Conversations and Shenanigans and all of that stuff, man. Because if you're not checking it out, you're missing out. Trust me. If you're in a geek culture trust me, you got to check it out. So this has been Rhythm and Views, man. I've had a great time. I'm your host, Tarius, and don't forget to hit that subscribe. Make sure you like and share it because it helps us. It helps the channel, helps us grow. So make sure you do all that stuff. And yeah, come back next week, man. Every Friday will be uploaded 6 o'clock. Had a great time. Love y'all, and we'll catch y'all on the B side. Peace.